I mean, yeah, you can just start talking about what protein is good for, and then I'll kind of cut it.
Do you want to do a welcome then, Marie?
Welcome.
Are we recording now?
Yeah, we're recording.
Both things are recording?
Yeah. Oh, I got all.
Welcome to the Bloom Era. Join Marie, Michelle, Vita, and Michelle, 4 lifelong friends, on our journey through perimenopause. We'll share our stories, insights, and laughter as we embrace this new stage of womanhood. Let's bloom together. Why am I so nervous?
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about nutrition and things, how we're eating now, how we ate younger, and how it's evolved and changed, and what our goals are as far as nutrition, and looking to the future to set us up the best way possible to go through menopause. So one of the big things about nutrition and for women our age is really to get enough protein. And I know a lot of women, including us, struggle with getting a lot of protein. So what we're going to start off with today is a little protein drink, because they're easy to do. So just quick ways to up your protein. So we're going to do a little taste test of proteins. So the first one we have is called Raw. It's got 30 grams of protein. The protein source is a milk protein isolate. So if you look at these sources right here, most of them are either milk protein or whey protein. And they did a study, and of course it was on middle-aged men, but they did a study where they actually did like a muscle biopsy before and after to see what effect it had. And they're pretty much the same. So it doesn't really matter which form, if you're getting whey protein or a milk protein. So
What's the difference?
It's how it's from. So the milk proteins, milk, a lot of times an isolate is just where they take it out. So it's usually 80% whey, 20% casein, which casein is just a longer lasting protein. It's not as fastly digested in your system, so it keeps you fuller longer, but it's not as readily available as fast.
Does whey protein? I always thought whey protein came from milk.
It does. They're
okay.
It's all a dairy source, but they all have the lactose removed. So if you're sensitive to dairy, if you're sensitive to lactose, you're fine. If there's something else in milk that bothers you, like whey, obviously, you still can't have it. Or if you're a vegetarian, or a vegan, or no animal products, then obviously you'll have a much harder time getting your protein. But another thing I look for in protein sources is how they're sweetened, because a lot of these have some artificial sweeteners, which studies have shown are probably damaging to your gut bacteria. And that's something I'm working on trying to correct. So I personally avoid ones with aspartame and sucralose, and a lot of them have those as a sweetener. Sometimes they have other funny ingredients like gums and all that you might avoid for other reasons, and sometimes they don't. But I personally avoid sucralose and aspartame. But so what I'm looking at, so we'll talk about the taste. We'll do a taste test. We'll talk about how many grams of protein are in there, and we'll talk about how much it costs. Because if this is how you're getting all your protein, it's going to be expensive. So this one has 30 grams of protein, and
In that whole bottle.
in this whole bottle.
Okay.
So that's a lot for a little bit. It's not going to. It's 160 calories total. But the price of this is 14 cents per gram of protein. That's how I break it down, like how much you're getting per gram of protein. Oh man, this is going to be hard to open.
Down.
Maybe if I can open it.
These are not the shots of our 20s, lady.
Yeah, and that one was hard to take the plastic off the outside too.
Okay. So, like I said, this one is this is milk protein isolate, and it's sweetened with sucralose.
Where'd you get it? Like at a
I
supermarket?
got it at Vitamin Shop. A lot of these are available at Target or Kroger's. Some of them are just at the vitamin stores. They're all available online. And if you buy them in a case, it's usually a cheaper price per bottle.
Is there a reason why this one's called Raw? I
have no idea.
Okay.
I've never heard of this brand before. I just saw it, and I was like, we'll try it. So this is the first time I've ever tried this particular type.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I think it tastes good.
Yeah, it tastes just like chocolate milk.
It tastes exactly like chocolate milk.
It tastes like chocolate milk made with chocolate syrup. I was
Jelly,
going to say, this
like
is
a
very sweet.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I think it's a little sweet.
Sucralose. It's that fake.
Oh, so
Yeah.
okay.
I think
this is that one of the ones you avoid, or no?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely taste sweet.
I think this would probably make my stomach feel
Mhm.
funny with the sugar feeling. But Shelly has the super tongue. Like her tongue, she tastes everything. So like to be able to say It tastes like chocolate milk. What'd you say?
It's made with the syrup as opposed to like purchased
I
chocolate
agree.
milk.
Like the Hershey's, like over the ice cream syrup.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you.
That kind of like fake chocolatey taste.
It's that fake sugar. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
But it goes down smooth. Like,
Yeah. It's not bad tasting. It's just sweet.
Yeah,
was sweet.
I've tried different ones, and I usually don't like them, and I could drink this one, and it was the only one available.
Okay. The next one we have is Slate, and they have these in regular flavor. They have them in, this is a mocha latte, and these are made with ultra filtered milk. So it's milk, but it's this, you still get the protein from it, and it's sweetened with stevia. So this is a pretty good source of, it doesn't have, well, it does have some gums in it, but it's not the stevia and monk fruit in here. So this one has
Caffeine.
It's got caffeine too. Yep. So this one has 20 grams of protein, and the price per gram of protein for this one is 17. So
More
17
expensive.
cents. 17 cents.
More
Yeah. So this one's
expensive.
more
it said
expensive.
shake slightly.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, yeah, I just read it. It was pretty big, so bought it.
But it also has caffeine, so you kind of like got.
You got a little,
Yeah, a little
it's
more
like a little
for it.
coffee, a little,
Mhm.
yeah.
I was looking at the.
And
I
it
guess
doesn't
the
have
calories.
sucralose in it.
It's
Yeah.
less calories too.
Mhm. But the other one had more protein. So if you look
Okay.
at, yeah, that's why, because the protein is.
I've never heard of this one either.
This one I've seen at Target and at Kroger's, but I also got it from the vitamin shop.
I'm not going to lie. The only protein, I am very new to this world. So I'm like, I thought it just was chicken and eggs.
I'm just getting a small amount of this because I don't like coffee flavored things. So I'm probably not going to like the flavor regardless.
It's very coffee. I like this one a lot better.
It smells like coffee. That's what I'm like. I'm just thinking about how I look like on the video because I'm like, this is good. And I'm like, down the hatch. I'm like, that's not very feminine, but whatever. Yeah, it tastes like
I like
chocolate
it.
coffee.
I like it.
Yeah, I like the
that one.
coffee flavor, but I do taste. So I did. I know you do monk fruit, and I bought a bag of monk fruit sweetener, and it tastes like that. It
Yeah.
kind of has that. It definitely. If you
Right.
like it or if you don't, I guess it you can tell it's monk fruit.
Yeah, but it doesn't have that same like tongue feel, I think, as like sucralose does, where it just kind of stays. That's
Yeah, but it's also
Sweetness,
not
but
the same sweet
as sugar,
either.
yeah.
So, but I like it. I
Yeah.
like it
I don't.
you don't like that
because
one?
it's not
'Cause-
sweet. Yeah,
'cause
it's that monk fruit taste is very
Ah.
specific.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't think it's like the right kind of coffee taste to me.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm actually kind of fine with the sweetness. Like, it doesn't have a funny aftertaste, but I just don't like the coffee.
The mocha latte.
I
Yeah.
wonder if you would like their. They don't have a just. They do have a plain chocolate flavor, but they didn't have that one at the
Oh,
vitamin shop.
Yeah, I mean, I usually like the coffee of everything, but that one I'm like, tastes like
Okay.
instant coffee.
I
or
talk
something.
about this next one with somebody else open. Somebody with better grip strength. So this
I
next
got a
one
dress.
is oh yay Vita. This one is called Isopure. So it's made with whey protein isolate, which is a big one you hear about. But this one has sucralose in it again, which is one of the sweeteners I'm avoiding. And it's got red 40 and blue 1. So it's got a lot of things that some people avoid. But it's 32 grams of protein. And this one is, again, 14 cents per gram of protein.
And it's not a shake; it's more like
Yeah.
a water.
So
So
I
it's
went for a while.
refreshing.
Probably about 8 years ago or something, where I bought these in the cases because it was a great way for me, because it's not as filling for me. I think because it's more water based than milk based, it just doesn't feel as filling. So it was a great way to up my protein. And then I started paying attention to the other ingredients that I chose
I
to
didn't
avoid.
even know protein drinks came clear. Like, this is brand new to me.
Like I said, I'm like super new. Because I did kind of know about like protein drinks, but yeah,
It is.
that looks like Kool-Aid. So.
It is sweet.
But you used to drink
I
this.
used
Now
to
it's
all
too
the
much for
time.
you. But you're on a fast right now anyway. So
Yeah, where
you're
I'm
like,
avoiding those
Yeah. Those.
sweeteners.
Love
What
it.
do you think, Vita? Shelly's face?
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not something I can have like every day though. I feel like I'm not I don't drink a ton of juice or Cokes or anything like that. So it's almost like, could they make it like no flavored clear? Then I'd drink that.
Ah.
I don't know, but I'm sure
I-
there's a taste to it they have to cover up.
I have a unflavored protein powder that I'll mix with my water that also has like a Crystal Light packet in it, but you don't have to put that in there. But it's an unflavored, and it ends up looking kind of like this. But
So no, it really,
make it
there is
myself.
no flavor at all.
it changes the flavor of what I put in it. But I don't taste like some weird flavor. It just kind of makes it a thicker, I
Well,
guess.
that's new. I need to try that because I feel like that would be, because I like plain water. So it'd be a great way to get protein
I
in.
thought that tasted like grape Kool-Aid when I first got it. And then this aftertaste just hit and it was just not good at all.
Yeah.
1992 Kool-Aid at the McKinney house. Like, this tastes like me and Bobby made it. And I like it. I do drink Cokes and stuff. So I'm not like a virgin like the rest of y'all. Like, who's this on my tongue? Sugar.
All these artificial.
Yeah, I drink the artificial sugars. I'm not getting those out. I wouldn't have anything left.
So I like this. But you were drinking this, but then you were like, this other stuff
The sucralose and the dyes and stuff.
You know what that tastes like to me now? I'm thinking, like, it tastes like something. It tastes like those flavor ice pops. Is that what?
It tastes very like little
It might
kid
taste
Kool-Aid.
better.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I
made
meant, like
those with that.
I kind of think Otis would love them.
We've got a lot for him to try after this. Okay,
You
this
got the
next one.
aftertaste, didn't you?
The next one, this is a new one to me. It's called Clear Protein, and it's made with a grass-fed whey isolate. And all the ingredients seem pretty clean, if, that's something you worry about. It's sweetened with stevia. This one was 17 cents per gram of protein, so it's a little more on one of the more expensive ones. It's got 20 grams of protein for one this size.
So is there any difference between eating a protein in food versus drinking it like this?
I mean, I think there's differences that a lot of people say when you prepare your food and when you eat your food, it helps that your enzymes digest it. I think as far as for purely protein synthesis purposes, it depends on the source of your protein. Like if you're just getting a whey protein versus a whey protein isolate, the isolate is going to be more easily digestible and better. So you look for the isolate. But I don't think especially
your body
if you're getting all or most of your protein from a source like this, it's probably not ideal. Like it's always better to eat your food and then you're not getting the other, this is not enough to keep you full because it doesn't have the carbs and the fat and, the fiber. So you need to have a full meal that's going to keep you full. So if you're just on this, that's not enough. And you're not getting any micronutrients either. So there's definitely benefits to eating it rather than just drinking it. But I think as a supplementation to make sure you get enough so you're not losing muscle as you age.
But your body doesn't know necessarily that.
I think for muscle protein, for muscle synthesis, not that I'm aware of. I'm not an expert, but nothing.
But I mean, in general, your body's not going to be like, oh, it didn't come from a real this chicken.
Because it did, though. I mean, it came from real whey. It came from a real cow.
It is a thing. Okay, so clear protein.
This is actually clear.
Yeah, yours looks like it's got bubbles and stuff in it. Is it got some kind of carbonation?
You can smell it before you even...
I tasted it, and it's like an orangey flavor. It did not have
like
a
this a
bad
lot.
aftertaste.
I do too. I like this one.
Yeah. The flavor's not one that I probably would have picked, but it doesn't have that weird aftertaste. So I'm be interested to try a different flavor.
Yeah, they had this one, and they had a prickly pear flavor were the only two I saw, so I went with the orange.
Yeah, I think prickly pear doesn't usually have much flavor, so.
Yeah.
I think it's the same category as the purple one. I'm not a huge fan. I like the milky ones better. This is the first time trying these clear proteins. Oh, but you're right, Michelle. I think a part of why I take a shake is as a snack, it's like a meal. So I don't think, I mean, like you said, but it's just a supplement, but I wouldn't replace, I guess, a shake with that.
Right. Because I think if you're making a protein shake with protein powder and you're putting frozen vegetables in there and you're, putting peanut butter in there, so you're getting your fat and your fiber and your protein, you can make a shake a meal, but this by itself isn't going to keep you full for 4 hours. So. Okay. The last drink we have is, I think, probably the most popular one at the Fairlife. The Core Power is the 42-gram one. So I feel like this is one you guys are all familiar with.
Even I know this one.
Yes. So this one is made with just filtered milk, but they filter it. So it's supposed to be people who have problems drinking milk are okay with it usually. It's sweetened with monk fruit and sucralose. So I also am avoiding this one now because it's got the sucralose in it and it's got a lot of gums in it and stuff. It's another reason to avoid it. But this one has 42 grams of protein. So this is the biggest amount of protein.
I will point out that one's 14 ounces for the bottle, being 42, and 11. 12. Okay, yeah, they're usually 11 or 12, so that may be a little bit where you're getting.
Why they have more? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I figured it out, like the price per
Mhm.
gram of protein. So like even like these do tend to cost more per container than these, but it
Yeah.
has more protein too. But you're right. That's why it probably has more protein because it's just a bigger container. So this one is 11 cents per gram of protein.
And Fairlife does make just milk. It's in your milk
Mhm.
section too. If you want, just to add more protein when you use milk, you can do that.
This one's definitely the best tasting in my opinion, but
Yeah.
I still
I had the
avoid it
strawberry
because
one of
the-
these for breakfast this morning.
Them?
No.
Mm-mm.
I kind of am. That's why I was like embarrassed.
That one I did. The others that I didn't like, I
Very
did not finish.
demure, very mindful.
Very not demure. Very not.
One that we didn't try too, that was the first one I found that I did like, was Premier Protein.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've done a background on them. It's got
No.
tons of different flavors. I like the banana one, but they also have the clear as well. And I tried those. I tried a peach, and it was okay. Like it was just as good as probably the orange one of this. It didn't have a weird aftertaste. And then a black cherry, and then it had a dragon fruit or something that was crazy. The black cherry was very medicinal tasting to me, and the other one I didn't try.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't.
So, but Premier Protein's another one that it's got
Typically-
30 grams of protein per 11 ounces.
I use Ascent Native whey protein. That's what I use in my shakes or when I make like little protein bowls or something. That's the one I typically use. That, or this is my husband's go-to, and he prepares these every Sunday for us. I go to Costco and I get the rotisserie chicken breast that they already have, just the breast. They mark it by itself. You get 42 ounces for like $16.99. So it's still, I mean, you can cook your own chicken and it's cheaper, and then you can get, the organic chicken or whatever. But if you just want something fast and easy, but that's like a healthy source of protein, and of course the protein source is chicken. And this is less than 5 cents per gram of protein. So that's how much cheaper it is than these others. So you're looking at these others and you're like, oh, 11 cents sounds not bad, but it's much, and you can do cheaper than that if you buy it raw. But if you want something that's already cooked, you just shred up. We package it in these and we just reuse these and wash them. We do 150 grams of chicken, which is about 38 grams of protein, but you can do it however you want. If you want 30, we try to aim for at least 30 grams of protein per sitting, because that way you get enough leucine to properly build muscle. But however much you would want, you can pack it. We just weigh it and mark it, and we have these set. You add whatever sauce. Sometimes I just do salt. Sometimes I do seasoning. Sometimes I do whatever sauce or seasoning you want on there, and then it's ready to go. So this, as far as cost, is definitely the cheapest, and it's actually pretty easy. It doesn't take long to package it out. But yeah, you guys want to try some chicken? It's actually, you probably should, because it's not.
Do it.
It's kind of plain, but it's not bad. I mean, it's got taste to itself. It's a rotisserie, so it's like been cooked. And no, I buy it. All we do is kind of pull it off and weigh it and proportion it out. So
The lamest shots we've ever done. It's good chicken though. It's good. 5 cents.
I don't even know what we're laughing at.
The way Marie ate the chicken, she was so didn't want to do it. I was like, shame. I don't know.
It's like, this is not a chicken nugget.
It's defeat.
Defeat. She's like, I guess this is where I am. You used to do shots and eat French fries.
I didn't even do shots.
Okay, I used to do shots and eat French fries, and now I'm trying protein shakes and eating chicken breast the rest of my life.
Motion, Marie. I just don't understand it. It was so.
I wish I had seen it.
You should have saw it. She was just like,
I feel like that's how Marie would look if we made her take a shot when she was 22. She'd been like,
yeah, it was like, I guess so.
everyone else is doing it. We're eating chicken breast.
It is good plain though. Quite
Yeah, it's not
honestly.
bad. I mean, you get tired of it, so that's why it's good to put other stuff. But it's good to have fast ideas. That way you're not tempted to just eat a bag of chips or like overeat on something else. And I mean, like I said before, like if you pair your protein with fiber and fat, it keeps you full forever. So you don't really ever need to snack because you're not hungry. So
do you typically, when you do the protein with the shakes and stuff, do you prefer making your own
Yes.
versus over the bottles?
yes, I always do. One, because of waste issues.
Mhm.
It's less waste. And two, because I like to control the ingredients more. So I buy a protein powder that has the ingredients I like. And then
Yeah, I tend to prefer the pre-made because of the texture. Like to me, the other ones are usually they're thicker,
Chalkier.
chalkier, foamy because you've shook them and all that. And that right there, it just tastes more like milk.
I mean, especially that Fairlife, it tastes like drinking chocolate milk. So
Oh, it does. It's my chocolate milk substitute.
I
since
mean, I
can't
get
have
it.
that anymore.
Yeah, I think it's cheaper to do the protein powder too.
Oh, way cheaper, way cheaper.
So that's what I do.
I thought about like doing protein powder too, and I was like, no, this is just about like quick, easy sources. So it's not that there's anything, like
Yeah, these are good for like on the go. If you know you're going to be out and about, and pack something in your bag and you got it covered so that you don't go out to McDonald's because you're starving and you're out and about kind of deal. I think that's a good use for it.
I'm definitely the worst eater out of all of us, the worst habits, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But I feel like as I'm starting to try to be more mindful, I'm like, the truth is like, I'm a fast food person. So as I try to, like this is a good on-ramp. Like this might not be where I'll be in a year, but this gets it started for me. And like, I'm not going to feel shame that, that I've got to start here before I get to,
and there's
and
nothing wrong with those.
even being here. But like, I have to be mindful that a big reason I end up at the fast food is because it was quick and easy and I didn't have to plan terribly far ahead about what, like that, even though that's super good and I'm going to copy what you're doing. It's, that takes a lot of mental power that I don't have yet
You have
as
to
a fast food.
pre-plan, yeah.
Right. Like it's a pre-planned thing that I'm not good at. But so I love this option. And then it's, it's telling you like how much is in it. Like math's easy. like, like I don't have to even read like the labels on the back. Like,
Yeah, 42 grams of protein. I know
exactly.
there. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Awesome.
I like that this exists, but I think I would love to get to the point where you're more, because even just the word waste, I'm like, that does make sense. Like, I don't want to.
But yeah,
everything doesn't need a bottle.
I've definitely done like been at a point where I've had, especially the smaller 30-gram Fairlives, because you can get those at Costco. I was at a point where I would have one of those a day, or like, yeah, you definitely. I get it. So yeah.
Why do you think protein is like? I feel like there's nothing that tastes bad about it. It's not a vegetable. Why is it so hard to get in a diet, or is it? I mean, you're saying you're getting like 125.
That's
right
my
now?
goal.
Your goal per day.
I've been getting it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think you have to plan too. It just doesn't come as easy. And I think it's because it's not one of those foods that you can overeat. Like you don't have to put a limit on how much broccoli you're going to eat because nobody's going to overeat broccoli. It doesn't have that thing in, it's not, highly palatable. Like those foods that like chips that you can overeat chips easy and not even realize how much you're eating just because they taste so good, but they're so not filling. So I think protein is very filling. So it's hard. Like sometimes like with this amount, I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like, I don't feel like chewing protein anymore, Like,
and absent eggs, a lot of breakfast foods are usually high carb versus protein. And that's one of your 3 meals. And
even
you're not
eggs-
getting nearly enough protein.
eggs do not have a lot of protein themselves either, not as much as you would think. So if you eat eggs, you really need to.
Yeah. So if you're only
supplement else.
having 3 meals a day and that's one of them, you're getting very little protein during it. So now you're having to pack, 50 grams into your next 2 meals or 2 meals and a snack maybe?
Yeah. But yeah.
And I think it's also more expensive, I think, too. And then
That's very true.
It doesn't sound expensive when you're saying 15 cents per gram, but
But if you
compared
need
to something
120
else,
a gram, that's a lot per day.
so
And
what's 5 cents times 125?
we're all math people.
One day we're going to do an episode about being smart people.
Being athletes,
10 cents
Yeah.
times 125 would be what, $12.50?
So 500.
But that's just your protein too. Like you're not
Right.
leaving
Yeah.
it
No,
on
I'm just
that.
trying
So
to
if
think
you're-
like, so what are you talking about spending? If
Yeah.
you did it the cheapest
so-
way, like,
Well, this
five-
is not even. I mean, you could cook it. You
could
could buy
cook
it,
it, yeah.
raw and cheap.
Yeah.
Cook it much
But then that's
cheaper.
more
but-
prep, like you
yeah,
said.
exactly.
So
It's even another step.
That's what my husband's doing this week. So we just threw 4 chicken breasts into the crock pot and turned it on for 8 hours. And then I'm going to get the hand mixer and just crap out of it and
I used
portion
to
it
do
out.
that.
So it'd be similar to that because I hate pulling off the bone. So this
This
way.
isn't on the bone.
Oh, I thought you were saying
No, you
pull
don't buy the $4.99
No.
rotisserie chicken. You buy just the breast.
Okay.
It's already
That would be easier
because then
then.
you're not getting the
Yeah.
thighs and all that. Yeah, this is way easier than buying a rotisserie chicken.
Okay, yeah. Because I've done it before with a rotisserie chicken, and I hate pulling it off the bone. It's so messy and gross.
I
But
love it.
Yeah, I don't mind.
I
I don't
love
mind
bone.
it.
I don't like getting food under my fingernails, and I have longer fingernails, so it's just no.
Well, back to the math. 5 cents times 100 is 500. So that's $5, and that's a little bit less.
Yeah.
$5 a day. I mean, it adds up though. You got like 4 kids, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, but I was just trying to think like, oh, there is a number. We could figure out how much per day. But I mean, $5 a day. So that's $1 a meal. I mean, $1 for 3 meals and 2 snacks. Like, it's not a lot. Like,
Yeah.
No, but if you're
We can
getting
do
all
it.
your protein from that can really add up.
adds
Yeah.
up, yeah. Awesome. Well, so why are we getting a lot of protein again? Because it's good for our muscle, because we're losing our muscle. This is
Right.
us doing like a 401k, like, because we're going to lose it.
Exactly. So I know Vita was looking up earlier, and what was the stat, Vita?
10% of, I think we can lose up to 10% of our muscle mass
Per
during
decade or
During perimenopause.
during
Just during
perimenopause.
okay.
Yeah.
which is about
So-
a decade.
Which is about
so we know we're like on the precipice of a point where, and it's already at that point where it's harder to build muscle. And like I've always had a hard time building muscle anyhow. So we know we're about to be at a point where it's harder to build muscle, and we're about to start losing muscle just based on our age, and then our estrogen's going to go down. So we're trying to get, I love the 401k analogy, because we're trying to get ahead of that. I'm like, okay, so if we can have like if you're lifting weights but you don't have enough protein to build a muscle, you're not going to be as effective. So we're trying to get ahead of that. So all of us kind of separately, for separate reasons, have been like, had a goal to up our protein. So we've been talking about that. So we're like, what's a good ways to up our protein?
Yeah, and I say another thing it can do is, when you mentioned it keeps you fuller longer,
Mhm.
so then you do less of that mindless snacking.
Mhm.
And you were reading that too, like like when you were doing your little
Yeah.
Google, it was like,
So not just muscle loss, but I think it helps out with your sugar, like helps balance out your sugar levels and your energy levels. So all things that kind of prevent you from snacking and stuff like that.
And I think
So-
we all instinctively know that you feel better when you've eaten a lot of protein over the day than when you don't, like you have more energy, you do feel better, but it is, I feel like, I don't know if it's just the society or just what it is exactly, but it is, you have to be, at least I have to be mindful about getting enough protein. It has to be like something I think about. It's not going to just happen.
what if you're not strength training? Should you be eating this much protein?
Yeah, because everything you do is putting, like if you're moving, you lift your giant 2-year-old, like those all put stress on your muscles and on your bones, which is great too for your bone health. So yeah, I mean, you should be strength training, of course, for bone health and in menopause too, but we'll talk about that at a different time, and for muscle. So yeah, you do, even if you're not lifting weights, you are lifting weights, and you're not going to build muscle or keep your muscle without that appropriate amount of protein.
I'm just talking to that girl in the audience that is like me and is like, oh, that's for weight training people.
It's a great point.
Here's another good thing about protein though, because I kind of came about this not necessarily to build muscle, maintain muscle, but from a weight loss perspective. So like what Michelle is saying, it helps keep you fuller longer, keeps you satiated longer. But another thing is it's harder for your body to digest. So just you're burning more calories by eating protein, because your body has to digest it, versus like a really processed like bag of chips.
It's just going to
The reason why it's so easy to eat 100 chips is because it's just easy for your body to digest it too. Maybe, I don't know, but that's another reason to just take in more protein and whole foods, just because you burn more calories digesting them, is what I've heard. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd read
I'm
that.
not an
Something
expert
like-
either.
Yeah, I mean,
4 to
there
1.
is the metabolic burn of digesting food is true, but it's so little in the scheme of things that it doesn't really make a difference
Mm-hmm.
as far as like,
it's not enough to move
it's
the
not
needle
enough
by
to move
itself.
the needle is about what you, because it's kind of all factored into your basal metabolic rate anyhow. So it's not going to really move the needle. But I mean, it is true. It is a difference. It is.
Yeah.
Your body does have to work harder to
break
digest
it.
whole foods.
Mm-hmm.
No, that makes sense. Well, I mean, because I do know how I'm thinking as a person who would love to never think about this stuff. Like, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't be doing protein because I'm not quite strength training yet. But I mean, all protein is going to be good for adding into your diet at our age and current hormonal.
Yeah, I mean, I
I don't think it's gonna hurt you, right?
Yeah,
Like, I guess that's my thought is like, oh, I'm gonna accidentally like overeat
Bulk
protein.
up.
Yeah, well, not bulk up, but just like eat something. But you can't. You're not gonna
and
overeat.
I think if you tracked and saw how much you were eating now, I think most Americans really, really undereat protein. So I think you would have a really hard time. I mean, it is possible that you eat so much protein, you're getting way more calories than your body needs. Like, that is possible, but I don't think it's very likely you're going to do without trying.
Right. It's like me trying to be like, oh, but I really love broccoli. I better stay away. I can't stop.
Exactly.
Like, I'm lying.
And I think a lot of people are surprised when they track their protein, how little they're eating without
supplementing.
without making a point to be like, I want to eat enough protein. And I know like experts differ on, there's different ways you can figure out what your protein needs are. And of course, if you're like lifting weight and trying to build muscle, that's a different amount. If you're trying to maintain your muscle, that's a different amount. I kind of go for like at least 1 gram of protein for my ideal body weight is what I've been doing. But there's different
formulas. What are you doing, Vita? Or do you know what you're doing?
Oh,
You've got a trainer still, right?
No, I stopped using that trainer, but I think like if you look at kind of my general meal plan, like it's always kind of like a lunch or dinner meal. It's kind of like 4 ounces of lean meat, and that ends up being about 30 grams. Like 4 ounces of ground turkey is about 30 grams. So like the whole 30 grams per meal, I think that's pretty baked into a lot of these standard meal plans, I feel like. And then for breakfast, I do 2 eggs, but I do supplement it with like a protein waffle or something, or a protein pancake. Just because you're right, I don't think that's enough protein, but that ends up being, I don't think I get 30 grams in on my breakfast. It's probably more like 20. But yeah, so I guess overall, I'm just shooting for 100, like a easy round number. So I've got 3 big meals. If I try to get around 30 each, that's kind of the goal. I do snack on like a shake, so that's another 30. But like I said, I don't get a ton of it. I don't get my full 30 during breakfast. And so I do a snack, and then I'll get 30 in the other ones. So between 1 and 120, 100 and 120.
After I had the gastric bypass, you have to meet with a nutritionist, and they tell you 90 grams minimum. And then if you are doing strength training, to up it to closer to like 100 to 120.
Is that 90 grams for everyone, or is that
that's just their minimum for everyone?
Okay.
So
I thought it was based on
that's just a number they throw out. I guess it's a minimum for everyone, and then they say up it if you're going to do strength training type workouts and things like that. So that's kind of was my underlying goal, because that's what they told me, which is one of the reasons, again, I do, since I've had that, which has been a little over a year, I do a protein shake for breakfast, because otherwise I skipped breakfast. I didn't eat breakfast at all. So I wasn't getting any protein. So now I do one of those, and I do love the Fairlife flavor. So I do that, and that's 42. So that's almost half of what my minimum for the day. So then I don't feel like I'm stressing for the other meals, because you're going to get a 4 ounce piece of meat of some sort that's going to be close to the 20 to 30 for possibly 2 meals, and that'll probably take care of it. And I don't have to stress and track and, worry about doing all that level of tracking.
I think I've tried.
But you sent us like podcast on health, Marie. Like you're like, it's in your mind now.
It's 100%. I'm on the
I've known you for.
Yeah. And I've never sent anyone a podcast about health.
Yes.
You're reaching some of these goals and you're just not aware of it. Like, what is your typical lunch?
I don't know. Like, I think partly because just our days are weird. I don't know that, because I don't portion out stuff. It's like you kind of just eat whenever and wherever. Like, it's a lot of just scattered eating.
That's a big kind of first step, is just understanding what you're taking in. We were talking about that. Sometimes it's just about tracking. Like, where are you at right now? Just making a point to know where you're at right now. Not the pressure of making any changes or to achieve any goals. Just like, get to the point where you just understand what you're putting into your body on a regular basis.
There's a lot of apps that you can use.
Yeah. But, what was it? But yeah, like, and I mean, like, just thinking, like, I never thought about like, oh, you should have protein on it probably every meal. Just wasn't the. And so now it's like, oh, at least throw some cheese at a kid.
Yeah.
It's actually really helpful for your kids too. Like, my kids are old enough where they make their own lunch, and I've like really trained them how to make their lunch. So they know like, you need a protein, you need a veggie, they want their fruit, and they need like something with fiber, and then usually a healthy fat like olives or peanut butter or something. So they know how to put together their own lunch now. So now I just have all the ingredients and they get to decide. It's made my life much easier, but it's because I like put in all the work before teaching them and like making their lunches with them and showing them. So like even now, if I don't make their lunch while they're at home, they know how to put together their lunch. So they're like, oh, I already ate. I'm like, what did you eat? And they can.
That's a
Tell
really
me.
approachable way to it. Because sometimes when you meal plan, like I have to make, XYZ, like, but if you have in mind to always have this type of variety of ingredients in your house, then it's easier. Then you kind of just pick and choose, and there's not a ton of pre-planning. It's just kind of like you have access to that. It's ready. So it's easy for you when you get hungry. I like
how
that
I
approach.
I'm not a list maker unless there's like a particular recipe I want to make, unless it's a holiday or, a party or something. I just go and I'm like, proteins are pretty well taken care of because I do Butcher Box, which sends me, it's where I get all my pork and chicken, like frozen, super healthy. So I get a box of that. And then my husband's and his brother have a cow farm. So we always share
Just
a cow.
that.
Yeah. So but I'm very lucky. So I don't have to worry about, so I always have plenty of protein in the house.
And good protein.
And
like,
good
it's
protein, yeah. So then I just, I do buy this from Costco too. So I buy other sources of protein too. But then I just get I make sure I have vegetables and just whatever I feel like when I'm at the grocery store. And that's just the way my mind works. Some people need to plan it out. But I'm like, oh, the asparagus looks good. The broccoli looks good.
Sales.
And then, yeah,
especially
exactly.
with grocery
sale?
prices.
Yeah.
Oof.
So, and then of course, I've got kids, so tons of fruit. And then, just what I feel like when I walk through the grocery store. And then I sit there and I'm like, sometimes, like the other day, my husband's like, oh, I want beans. And I'm like, okay, we've got these dry beans. So what can I do with beans? Okay, we'll do sausage with the beans. And I love it when somebody tells me what they want because then I don't have to
You've got some
decide
fake
everything.
parameters.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, I like that you've taught the kids the different things to do. Because when I was a kid, just thinking back, the only drinks we didn't drink water, Kool-Aid, or Dr. Pepper. Those were the drinks that I had when I was a child.
I never drank water as a kid.
Yeah.
Never. I don't.
No. Which I don't like it now.
I was going to say, you don't drink water now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
Plain
don't
water.
like it now. Yeah, so I have to doctor it up now just to get it with the Crystal Light packets and stuff like that, which was a recommendation from the nutritionist again. So doctor told me it was okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I guess it's getting some water. It's better than none. But yeah, as far as other things, I just ate what snacks were in the house, and it was whatever packaged junk probably was on sale that week, kind of thing. It wasn't really the fresh stuff. We didn't do a whole lot of fruit. If we did, it was like the canned fruit cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have a lot of fresh stuff.
Because your
things like
mom
that.
doesn't know if you're going to eat it this week, and she
I
doesn't
know.
want everything to go bad.
I know that happens at my house too. But yeah, also because we ate out a lot, and those fresh ingredients spoil if you don't use them right away. So we would eat out a lot, and then my parents, single parents, so I spent half the week at one house and half the week at another house. And mom, some part of my life, was working midnights at her job. So lots of stuff going on, going into the poor
Like a
habits.
lot of
But I think
fend
if
for
I had just
yourself
had the
and-
knowledge,
Yeah.
that would have helped. So
Yeah.
I like that you've taught the kids. And
I don't know why that I blanked on this. So after I listened to that thing, that podcast, and we'll link it below, but about hormone health, I was like, okay, so we got to get more protein in our diet. We got to get more fiber in our diet. And I'm like, all of it feels like my brain cannot do that planning. Like executive function is not my strength. So I just put it in ChatGPT, which y'all know is like my best friend ever. And I was like, ChatGPT, because it's not like, oh, I'm going to fancy dinners and I'm trying new exotic things when we go out. I'm like, you're eating the same chicken tenders at Chick-fil-A. Like, why can you not? Like, you're boring. It's not like your tastes need tons of interesting
Right.
things, So I was like, give me 2 meal plans for 2 days that get this amount of, whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like the same thing. It's just turkey, chicken, and pork. And I was like, and then it's a green vegetable. And it was super simple. And then I was like, okay, so this is a family of 4. Make it how many ingredients I need for that. And I was like, now make it a grocery list.
Wow.
And it did the whole thing. It did all the math for me. So I just went through my app and I ordered everything for it. It was beautiful. And so now we have oh, okay. And I kind of modified it. It was I know we're we do the steamed broccoli or whatever, but I'm like, everybody in the house likes this broccoli. There's nothing added. It's not creams or anything on top of it. So I'm like, but then I just don't frozen food is good for me because I don't have the pressure of, because I like,
especially vegetables. I
Yeah,
love
I
frozen vegetables.
yeah, real vegetables, they just haunt me from the
Oh, that's funny.
cook me. And I'm like, I don't want you. like how I did the chicken. I don't want to eat this.
It's funny. My kids
Fully
and husband
eating.
hate it sometimes because they're like,
I'm
oh,
sure.
yeah, we want to eat out. I'm like, no, I've got, broccoli in there that needs to be cooked today. So they get mad at me.
Yeah.
But once you get a list going that you like,
it's like, oh,
Especially-
going about last week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you don't need a lot of
variety. Yeah, like
yeah.
my family, and I mean, we did that. We ate like
How
chicken.
did you
and
find
rice.
something that everybody in your house likes? That's the problem with me.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
yeah?
Well, Otis is pretty baseline, so he was like my first experiment. So once he was eating, like, because I was just like, this is what I've told everybody. I'm like, I'm either gonna make him eat broccoli or I'm giving him insulin shots. Like, these are my two choices. And I was like, an insulin shot is going to be a disaster. So we need to reel this in, right? So I was like, but anyway, so I just was like, do you like broccoli enough to eat this? And and then he ate it. Like, I just ignored him, and then he ate the whole thing. So but I'm like, that's our go-to right now, is just that meal. And Ren like doesn't, and none of my kids are super picky about food like that. Like,
Both of my kids and myself are picky. Matt will eat anything. I mean,
yeah, I mean, like, so Ren is super like, I mean, it might not be her favorite, but she'll be
She'll eat it,
hungry
yeah.
enough eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got one who complains, but I'm like,
It's not.
eat it.
Yeah, we make separate dinners.
Oh, wow.
So they don't eat the kind of food that we eat.
I think I did that more often when they were little. I said it wow, like, oh, that was crazy, but I did do it when they were smaller. Now they're older, is one dinner. And
Yeah, hopefully they get to the point where they are okay with eating the stuff that we eat, but it's kind of like either that or they will just not eat. And so it's kind of like, I'd rather you have something than nothing, even if it's a grilled cheese sandwich. I'm like, that's not too hard to do.
When my husband was deployed and they were both little, I would just like cut up a veggie tray at the beginning of the week and then make a little ranch dip that I put in the middle. Just put your own seasonings in it and Greek yogurt. So I do that, and then I would just cook literally chicken breast like every night, because I just like, that's what they would eat. That's what I would eat. It wasn't like exciting.
girl dinner,
and
right?
then it was, but like probably in the retrospect, because anytime I'd make, like, I made a pot roast once, and then we had leftovers forever because the three of us eat like nothing compared to like my husband. I'm like, you eat like over twice as what the rest of us do, and they get so sick of leftovers. So I was like, oh, we're just doing this forever. So that's not how I would recommend doing it, but it did work. Like, if you're like, when it's just you and the kids, it's a very different like mindset.
We'll do similar to what you do, or like the protein will be like what me and Maddie, like if we get like steak or chicken, like whatever, and then we'll do like the sides that go with that. The kids will eat one or two of the sides, and then we'll do chicken nuggets as their protein. So the frozen kind.
My kid would be very mad if I did not feed her steak.
Oh, I would love for my kid to eat steak.
My kids won't eat steak.
Really?
Yeah.
That's all. Quinn will. This kid is so spoiled because, like I said, we have cows, or my brother-in-law has cows. So, like, well, I'll cook chicken. She's, I hate chicken. Can I just have steak? And my husband's like,
Fancy.
sure, I'll cook you up a steak. And I was like, do you know how spoiled you are? Like,
Landon is getting a little bit more adventurous now. He ate, we had barbecue chicken thighs from the oven the other day, and he ate one of those. So I was like, oh. So, and he liked it. So
that's exciting.
So is that a big part of, I know you're saying you're kind of coming into this journey and it's kind of new world to you, but then you mentioned kind of Otis's kind of health journey. Is that kind of a motivation for you to kind of do it for the whole family, I guess?
Yeah, so like Ren and Mark don't have any visible issues with the way they're eating. So they, and for the most part, she's pretty even keeled on emotions. Like, there's not that. But I definitely have like diabetes. Like, my family is prone to that. Otis is definitely going to be like, so, and then, yeah, just knowing that he's on the spectrum, but could there be, and I've always known it, but it always has felt so overwhelming to me to change things. And then just Otis is a walking alarm system of, I'm not putting anything in my body that I don't want to, and I will fight you to the death over it. And I've just gotten so much better at, like, you can be mad. Like, I used to want to, gentle parent him down and like get him. And I'm like, that's your food. And like I said, like, in my mind, I'm basically decided, like, it's either I'm fighting him over insulin shots or I'm fighting him over broccoli. But I'd rather fight him over broccoli, like, as much as we can avoid.
So you've been diagnosed, or you just have a family history?
Just family history.
Okay.
Like, it's my mom and
what?
my dad. So yeah, you're like, well, gosh, Marie, that could go in a text message too. But no, like, yeah. So I already know where this train is going. Like, you know what I mean? And so, and I've always known it, but I think I've just, just there's
Stuff. It's like, you got to put the fire out before you can take care of other stuff too. So there's no, like, you got to deal with things the way you got to deal.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure your kid's fed. That's
Right.
most important, that your kid's fed. Like, it's very much a luxury to worry about, like, oh, they're protein and fiber, and for ourselves too. Like it's a luxury to be able to
have any control over
but
these.
I think that if you can have control and you realize it does make your health better and your family's health better, then it's a great thing to control. But like,
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're working multiple jobs, you're struggling to put any food on the table, like you're overwhelmed with other issues, like there's tons of times in life where that's just not doable. And like if your kids are fed and they know their love, like that's what's most important at the end of the day. But yeah, the next step is, like if you can do better, then
I want to. Yeah. And I felt like it was a big wake up call, that perimenopause stuff. Like, I don't think I really, I felt like it was just something that's going to happen to us. Like, I am very much like, oh, you just need to reconcile aging is happening. Like, that's why I let my hair go gray. Like, this is just who I am and where I'm at. And I'm like, but that'd be dumb to be like not investing in your 401k if you know information. Like, like, why would you suffer then just because you're like, oh, like Doritos? Like, are Doritos that amazing? They're not. Like, just kind of changing my mind. And like I was telling Michelle before y'all got here, like I'm very fatalist about like health and all that stuff. I'm like, it's just where we're at. Like Otis is just that way and I'm just this way. And like, there's no, like, yeah, you could, but already the damage has been done is always in my brain. And this lady I listened to, she was like, your body is a 3D printer. So if you start putting good stuff in, it starts creating good. And I had really bought into like, A, it's too confusing, and B, it is kind of too late. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a different way to look at it. That all food is a building block for your body. So if you just change the cartridge, you will get different results. Like, I don't think I always believed that.
Again, this is all like social media information. I'm like,
that's all we do. Yeah.
So it could be completely wrong, but it said something about like it really only takes like 6 months to completely change your whole body.
Right.
Like,
wow.
It's not like it's going to take me 10 years. Like I'm like
to see
40 years behind the game.
Like
it's going to take
like,
6 months, I think. It's
like
kind of what I've heard.
PCOS symptoms, they were like, the studies are showing that like a diet change for 12 weeks gets rid of all PCOS symptoms, but they don't.
Wow. And what's
nutrition.
there's a number where how many weeks it takes to build a habit? Or
21 is what I've always heard on that.
Or some days to break a habit and then to build a habit.
Yeah, 21 days.
I heard that in middle school, and that's where I quit biting my fingernails.
You're the one who told me that, Shelly. That's been in my mind since middle school. Because you told me about biting your fingernails.
Yeah, because I used to, up until 7th grade, I chewed my fingernails way down into the quick to nothing. And I heard that the 21 days thing, and I was like, okay, let me try this. So every night I would paint my fingernails a different way. So that way I would have motivation to not chew them because I wouldn't want to mess up.
Because it would last at least one day of.
Yeah. And then eventually, I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's more than that because I just didn't do it anymore. So who knows what the number
Michelle,
is. But
that's your name.
She is, man. If she decides to do something, she's going to do it. But I think so you can build a habit before you actually start seeing results. But that is such a cool way to think about it. Like,
because the way the guy, he stated it in a sense of an investment. Like it's a 6-month investment for like improving like the rest of your life potentially. Like so, you've got what are we early 40s, and if we live another 40 years, say we're midlife. So what's 6 months compared to 40 years of a healthier, like longer, like less complicated in terms of health complications? Like it's not much. So if you got to think of it that way, it's a little bit more doable or palatable.
Wait, you guys want to do it? You want to track our protein and try to make sure we're getting enough protein? Let's do it. Let's.
We're gonna do that. We're doing it. I love it.
All right, let's do it. So we're not doing shots of alcohol and we're not eating bags of Doritos anymore. But hopefully our 80-year-old selves will thank us for it. So
yeah, we'll watch these videos in the nursing home or in the community center
where we're living together like the Golden Girls.
Exactly.